And that is lead defense attorney Joel Bronski. He says it could be days before we know what jurors are thinking in this case. Here to help us sort through the clues we've been given so far, Alexandra Rudolph from Rudolph Trial Consulting. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this. The jury comes back with some questions right away within, the first 90 minutes or so. How unusual is that they right away they've got all these questions, and what does that tell us?
Sure. Well, jurors they have a natural tendency to get to work right away and to determine what happened and reconstruct the events and have their natural timeline to determine which version they believe. So that's what we're seeing here right now, is that you have a group that's very enthusiastic. The fact that they're doing it in 90 minutes tells me that they want to get to work. They're going past some of the issues, and they really want to convince each other of what happened and get into the nitty-gritty right away.
Yeah, they want to try to get this done
Absolutely.
as soon as possible. It's been, what, 6 weeks now?
Yeah.
Okay, how about the types of questions that they have? For example, they asked about the Neil Shorey testimony, being the pastor who Stacey Peterson confided in. They asked about Harry Smith, who was Kathleen Savio's attorney, divorce attorney. For somebody like me who, again, doesn't know the law, doesn't know how these trials sometimes work, I'm wondering, that leads me to believe that maybe they're leaning more towards a guilty verdict, meaning they're leaning towards the prosecution's case more than the defense. Right or wrong?
Well, absolutely. I would say that based on what we're hearing, you could easily believe that they've ignored the idea, or they've rejected the notion that this is an accidental death, that this is definitely a homicide. The question is whether he did it or not. So they're coming in, they're looking for circumstantial evidence. So that means, if someone walked into the studio with a rain jacket on and covered with wetness, we would probably assume that it was raining outside. Now, could it be an elaborate hoax that someone was standing out there with a hose? Maybe, but probably not. So they're probably taking all the circumstantial evidence that is the hearsay and trying to put some context to it through that timeline of events to determine whether there is enough evidence in this case to return a verdict.
Explain to me the dynamics of going through some of this this testimony, some of the witnesses as they deliberate. Do they sit there with, one person becomes sort of the head person who goes through point by point? Explain that.
Sure. Well, this is a particularly cohesive group. You've got, once jurors get to work, you've got two groups that start out. Either they're cohesive or conflicted. This jury from the beginning has been sending us signals that they are very united. They've been playing with the media a little bit. They've been doing a lot of interaction. So that's one thing that you have a cohesive group here. The second thing is they probably already have leaders in the group. They've already worked together as a group, so they have a group dynamic that is tried and true. So are there leaders in the group? Most definitely. Could it be that one of them is a social leader saying, hey, we should wear black and white tomorrow, and the other one is more of a leader in deliberations? That's true too. So it's really based on their experience. So for example, if you have a police officer in there or someone with experience,
some police background,
police background, then they will most likely take a leadership quality in the group because they have firsthand experience.
And during these 5 weeks, I got to imagine they've been building alliances with each other.
Absolutely.
The ones who agree on this side and the ones who don't.
Well, absolutely. Right now, they've also indicated through the request to be sequestered that they want to remain a group, that they want to see this through. They want to see this through fast, and they're willing to work for it. So that's the other takeaway that I think we can have from all of the evidence and wanting to hear the testimony, is that they really do want to give us a verdict quickly and cohesively, and they're working as hard as they can to do it, and they're going through the details with a fine-tooth comb.
I'm going to ask you to guess a little bit here. How much longer do you think it'll be? This date being day one, do you think this is going to go on for weeks? Do you think this is going to be, we could have an answer by tomorrow night?
Well, we're veering into witch doctor territory a little bit. So I've seen so many trials, it's impossible to say right away. But the fact that they're taking their time with the evidence, to me, indicates that this could be quite a few days, because they will be keenly aware that whatever verdict they give, they'll have to justify in their hometown. So I think that's as much as we can ask from any jury, and we will probably see this through the week, at least.
I heard the judge today, he was very concerned about the length of time that they are spending deliberating on any given day, because apparently this has been an issue for an appeal in another case not so long ago. I mean, does that play a role as to how much time they spend each day deliberating?
Well, it can. I mean, certainly with sequestered juries, they're having every meal together. They are talking about the case, whether they're a group or not. So they tend to come to a decision faster than jurors who go home at night, can decompress and come back a little bit more conflicted the next day. So I think that definitely them being sequestered versus not sequestered impacts how deliberations and the group dynamic overall. So I think we can safely assume that.
Okay, thank you so much.
You are
Alexandra
welcome.
Rudolph, trial consultant. We appreciate you being here with us. And if these deliberations go on for days, you may be back.
That would be
All right.
excellent. Thank you so
stand
much.
by.